Go to Google and type Rathod's IAS. Then you can see our website Rathod's IAS Academy. There you have to click on login or register in the blue color. So if you have not registered yet, you have to click on do not have account and fill the details. So after once you have login, click on the courses. There you can see course list. And in this course list you can see wide range of courses. Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 29th June 2022. So let's get started with our discussion, and most of the articles that I am going to cover in this lecture. So I collect from Indian Express, Down to Earth, All India Radio, PIB and also The Hindu. So let's get started and let us try to see today's quote. So today's quote is which is mainly given by Einstein. So this quote is regarding education. So education, health, poverty, hunger, they are some important areas and they are also favorite areas of UPSC. So please be prepared with the quotes. So education is what remains after one has forgotten everything he learned in school. So education is what that mainly remains after one has forgotten everything he learned in school. So in school days, so I think you might you can remember what are the things that you have studied in your 8th standard, 9th standard and 10th standard. So some might have been forgot what they have studied, and here the education is nothing but so what that mainly remains after one who forgot everything that he learned in school. So this is the importance of education. And the first article, that is from Indian Express, you can see. So this topic is about education. So schools poor in digital learning. So 180 districts scores less than 10%. So recently here Education Ministry or Education Department which released this BGI, okay, that is Performance Grading Index. So in this performance grading index, especially some districts which mainly scored less than 10%. So now we need to know some highlights of this report, and you have to analyze what are the reasons behind the least or bad performance of districts. So this topic is important from your education, which mainly comes under your GS paper 2. And now first let us try to see context why it is in news. So here Department of School Education and Literacy. So Department of School Education and Literacy which made released this PGID, that is Performance Grading Index for Districts. Performance Grading Index for Districts for 2019 and 2020, and it said that so there are about 180 districts in India, they have scored less than 10%. So if you're talking about key highlights of this index, so first one is it is talking about exposure to digital learning. As you all know, in 2019 we entered into this pandemic, and in 2020 March we came up with abrupt imposition of lockdown. And because of this imposition of lockdown, so till 2021 actually schools had not been performed well, and even if they opened, so parents, they are not very much will to send their students to schools, send their children to schools. So because of this, what happened, it has a negative impact on education especially. So if you see this digital learning, so when we entered into this pandemic, so about many government schools and even private colleges, private schools, universities, they started teaching in online platforms. So what happened, so at that time, so country had a very little exposure to digital learning, and there is no proper availability of systems, computers, internet facilities. Teachers, they are not trained to handle technological tools in schools. So because of this, that led to one of the important drawback regarding this online education. And the reports also shows that schools across India, they perform poor under the category of digital learning. So regarding this digital learning, because of constraints like teachers do not have proper experience to deal with these tools, technology tools, and even there is no proper computer availability, and especially in some villages which are present in the remote areas, they do not have internet facilities. And especially we said about plight of this scheduled tribe students who are mainly present in hilly areas. They mainly took their mobile phones and they moving up and down the hill in search of net or in search of signals. Okay, so we studied about the number of reports, number of newspaper articles regarding this education and pandemic. So as many as 180 districts, they scored less than 10% on digital learning, and 146 districts, they scored between 11 to 20%, and about 125 districts, they scored between 21 to 30%. So this is the one key highlight regarding this digital learning in India. And if you're talking about learning outcomes, so no district scored below 10%, and 12 districts which mainly scored between 11 to 20%, and most of the districts like 309 districts, they scored between 51 to 60%. That means even though there is no proper digital learning, yes, we can see there is learning outcome that is above 51% in 309 districts. And who are the best performers? So best performers here is Chandigarh and states of Punjab and Tamil Nadu, Kerala. So these states are the best performance in this index. And if you're talking about interstate difference, yes, automatically if you're comparing with one state with another state, yes, there will be difference because of the change in the governance system and the education system that they are following. Some states, they are mainly focusing on English education, English medium in the schools, in the even government schools. For example, if you're talking about Bendapudi, okay, so actually this is the one trending news that is mainly going on in the number of social media platforms, like Bendapudi students, they started talking in the in American accent. Okay, so that is a step which is mainly taken by AP government, but it is not the same in the other states which are mainly present nearby this AP also. So because of this, here we can see automatically there will be some interstate differences. So difference from one state to another states. And if you're talking about interstate difference, it is also considered in this index. On maximum possible of 1000 points, the range between the states and union territories with the highest and the lowest score is almost 300. So the state difference, so best performing states are the least performing states, and the difference here is about 300 points. It is like 30% of maximum points that we can see the difference here. And in this way we can see, yes, there is considerable difference between the states and union territories, which is mainly seen in this school education. And if you're talking about what is the methodology which mainly followed, so if we're talking about methodology, they came up with total weightage of 600 points across 83 indicators. So these 83 indicators, they are mainly categorized into 6 categories. So first one here, they focused on outcome. First one is outcome. Second one is effective classroom transaction. Next one is what are the infrastructure facilities you're having. For example, basic toilets for the children, and you can talk about classroom boards and benches to sit, and even in some schools they had laboratories as well, science laboratories like that. So they mainly focus on this infrastructure facilities. And next one is students entitlements, and they are also focusing on school safety and as well as child protection and digital learning and governance process. So these are the 6 categories they mainly divided. And here the states and union territories, they mainly assessed on based on their performance. Okay, and based on their performance in each indicator, the ranking which is mainly given. So if you're talking about what is significance of this study, yes, if you're talking about Indian education system, so Indian education system, it is one of the largest in the world, and there are about 1.5 million schools and 8.5 million teachers are there, and about 250 million children, they are mainly coming from different socio-economic backgrounds. So here in this diverse country, yes, we need to have to maintain standards. We need to maintain uniformity across the country. So here this type of studies will be very much helpful to bring uniformity and as well as to maintain minimum standards in the school. And this index which also says that states and union territories, they are mainly moving towards multi-pronged interventions, and they are also mainly facing on decide optimal outcomes of education. They are mainly focusing on education outcomes. And if you're talking about this indicator, so it mainly says that the areas where districts needs to improve. So they are coming up with indices, and they came up with the 66 categories and 83 indicators are there. So if we are having a detailed detailed data regarding that so and so district, so where they are performing well and where they are not performing well. So in that where they are not performing well, they can come up with reforms to improve, such that it will be very much helpful for the schools to perform better, and will also keep all stakeholders in the school education system. For example, if you're talking about stakeholders, stakeholders means nothing but, so in ethics, if you have completed your ethics, especially in the chapter 6, you will be coming across this corporate governance. So in corporate governance, you will be talking about stakeholders and as well shareholders. So stakeholders means the people, they are mainly affected with the decisions of that so and so organization. So whenever there is any organization which is mainly taking any decisions, so on these decisions, so who are mainly affected, to be affected, so they are called as stakeholders. For example, if there is any organization, so there will be the lenders, there will be the buyers, customers, directors. So those people, they mainly comes under the stakeholders. So if you're talking about stakeholders in school education, so who will be the stakeholders? We have teachers, we have the helping staff, that is non-teaching staff, and even children and children parents, that is people. So these will all comes under the stakeholders of the school education. So here whenever we are having this type of indices and data, that will be overall helping the stakeholders in the school education system, including students, parents, teachers and administrators, etc. So they will help to improve in these indicators. And if you're talking about what are the government initiatives which are mainly taken regarding the school education, yes, we had this NEP, National Education Policy 2020. Actually, it is mainly having an aim to make India a global knowledge superpower, and we need to include number of structural changes in our education system, because there are number of loopholes that we are mainly seeing in our education system. So we need to come up with introduction of several changes in this education system. And this one is Samagra Shiksha. So this Samagra Shiksha, it is an integrated scheme for school education, and it is mainly focusing from preschool to 12th standard, and they are mainly focusing on providing of inclusive and equitable education for all. And next one is Midday Meal Scheme, so MMD. So Midday Meal Scheme, which mainly provides that every child within the group of 6 to 14 years, they are going to get food in the afternoon times, that is hot cooked nutritious food, okay, hot cooked nutritious meals, and it is a free of charge every day. So whenever there is a food which is provided, so especially there are some vulnerable people are there, so they will be taking their children along with them, especially for the works, to get some money to feed them. But what happened whenever schools or whenever government which mainly providing this hot cooked nutritious means, so here this parents, they will be sending their children to schools, okay, such that will also increases the enrollment ratio, and even that will helpful to increase the education levels, literacy levels, such that will help to fight against poverty, and finally that will also contribute to our economic development. And next one is Ekalavya schools. So Ekalavya schools and as well as Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship Scheme. So these are some important schemes which are mainly focusing on vulnerable sections of society. For example, you can talk about scheduled tribes, that will helpful to pursue higher education in this scheduled tribes community. So this is about this topic in detail. And now let us try to see next topic. That topic I covered from your PIB. So this article which is mainly talking about green hydrogen, green ammonia policy. Okay, title says Union Minister of Chemical and Fertilizers, he chairs the inaugural session of seminar of production and use of green hydrogen and green ammonia in the process industry. They are mainly focusing on green hydrogen as well as green ammonia. So how can you expect a question from this topic? So first of all, you need to know what is this green hydrogen, so where we can use this green hydrogen, and what is the significance of production of this green hydrogen. And next one is what is this green ammonia and use of this green ammonia, and where we can use this, okay, and what is significance. And we need to know finally what is this green ammonia and green hydrogen policy, and some important details of this policy that might be very important from your prelims and as well as means. And nowadays here UPSC, which is mainly asking uses the most, so you have to focus on the uses also. So if you say context, it mainly says that recently seminar on this production of green hydrogen and green ammonia in the process industry which is mainly held. Okay, so it is like a seminar based on this production and use of this green hydrogen and green ammonia. So here, what is the meaning of this process industry? Process industry in simple language I can say, so if there is any industry which is mainly extracting, which is going for transport, and which is going for transport process of these raw materials to manufacture or semi-finished goods or high quality products, and this so and so company, it is called as a process industry. So process industry, which mainly includes extraction, transportation and the processing of raw materials to manufacture semi-finished and as well as high quality products as well. So if we are talking about green hydrogen, so here the fuel that can be a game changer for the energy security of India. Okay, so fuel will be very important, because as you all know, India, which is mainly dependent on the imports, so we are mainly dependent on our 85% of imports, especially from recently we saw news that Russia, which mainly occupies the second space and it mainly beats Saudi Arabia. So we are getting oil from Russia and as well as some West Asian countries. So we are getting 85% of our imports from the other countries. So whenever we are focusing on production of this green hydrogen, so this fuel which is very much useful and it is like a game changer, and we can achieve this energy security of India. So if you're talking about significance of this production of the green hydrogen, so this green hydrogen energy which is vital for the India and will help to meet this NDC targets, that is national determined contribution targets, and it will be helpful to ensure regional and as well as national energy security. So here this green hydrogen energy, which is mainly used to meet our national determined contributions that we came up in this Paris climate deal, and here we can also go for achieving of regional as well as national level energy security. And even our Prime Minister, he mainly made a statement in Conference of Parties 26 in Glasgow that we are going to achieve carbon neutrality, or we can say like carbon neutrality by 2017. To achieve those targets, yes, we need to move towards this renewable energy sources. And here this green hydrogen, which mainly acts as energy storage option, and here this green hydrogen, which is very much important to meet the intermittences in the future. And if you are talking about this green hydrogen in terms of mobility, so this will be also very much useful for the long distance mobilizations. And hydrogen has the potential to be the key renewable target and even supporting of infrastructure also. So we're talking about green ammonia. So actually ammonia formula is NH3. Okay, ammonia formula is NH3. So it is having 3 bonds with H. So actually this ammonia, which is a chemical which is mainly used for nitrogenous fertilizers, for example urea, ammonium nitrate, etc. And this green ammonia, which is mainly produced where the process of making ammonia is 100% renewable and as well as carbon free. So it is like 100% renewable and carbon free. And if you are talking about use, so what is the use of this green ammonia? So especially we can use it as energy. So we can use it as energy storage. So ammonia is usually stored in a bulk as liquid at modest pressures. Okay, so here we can store this energy, that is a green ammonia, and we can go for refrigerate at minus 33 degrees centigrade. So because of this, it is a very much ideal for the storing of this renewable energy. And next one is zero carbon fuel. So ammonia can be burnt as an engine or used in fuel cells, and we are mainly using to produce electricity. And this ammonia, it is only byproduct of water and as well as nitrogen. Okay, so it is also a zero carbon fuel. And next one is it is also helpful in this maritime industry. So maritime industry, which is likely to be an energy adopter, and will be also replacing the use of fuel oil in the marine engines. So what happened in the marine industry also? Yes, we have the use of this green ammonia. So what is the significance? The significance here is, so here green ammonia, which is mainly used in the production of carbon neutral fertilizer products. Okay, so nitrogen, by using nitrogen we need, okay, especially in this ammonia we have this nitrogen N component. So even if you're talking about many fertilizer, they will be having relative composition of this NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and as well as potassium. So this green ammonia, which is mainly used in the production of carbon neutral fertilizer products, that will be very helpful for decarbonizing of our food value chain. Okay, the next one is ammonia, which is also crucial, especially to tackle the essential challenges. Okay, essential challenges in the society, and we can make our environment, which is carbon dioxide free energy. And if you're talking about what is this green hydrogen ammonia policy, green hydrogen green ammonia policy. So if you're talking about this green hydrogen green ammonia policy, under this policy, a government which is mainly offering a set of manufacturing zones, especially for production, and after production we need to go for connectivity projects, right? So through this connectivity we have interstate transmission system, and which are all mainly came up on the priority basis. And here this green hydrogen producer will be able to set up a solar power plant in this Rajasthan. Okay, and here this green hydrogen producer, they are going to support this solar power in Rajasthan to supply renewable energy to the greenhouse plant in Assam, and that will be mainly required to pay any interstate transmission charges. Only for interstate transmission charges they have to pay. And next one is producers, they will be also allowed to keep bunkers. So they are going to allow to keep the bunkers near the ports for the storage of green ammonia, and as well as export, and also for the export for this shipping. And this one is production target is also being raised, okay, 5 times. So 5 times we also came up with increasing of our production targets, that is from 1 million to 5 million tons by 2030. And we are also focusing on ease of doing business. So ease of doing business is a single portal for carrying out of all activities, including statutory clearances and even time board manner. They should be set up by this Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Okay, so this is about this topic in detail. And now let us try to say next topic is a very interesting, that is oceans great dying 2.0. We are going to have this mass extinction. So this article I collected from this Down to Earth. So this article is important from your environment and ecology, which mainly comes under your GS paper 3. And as you know, this is talking about mass extinction. So why this is in news? Recently, very recently, scientists from Stanford University, they mainly warned about imminent mass annihilation of marine species. They are mainly similar to this Permian extinction, which happened 250 million years ago. Okay, so 250 million years ago there was one extinction, that is Permian extinction. So here the scientists from the Stanford University, they mainly says that whatever the actions that was seeing in this marine species, it is mainly going to remain extinction. Okay, so it is mainly going to wipe out the lives in the oceans. So we're talking about details regarding this mass extinction, that is some big disasters in the history. So during this Ordovician period, so here about 445 million years ago, so this type of event which mainly happened, and the important causes were, at that time there was rapid global cooling and even falling of sea level rise. And what are the results? So especially coastal areas, and as well as some chemical reactions which are mainly affected by cold. And next one is Devonian. So this Devonian period, which mainly happened about 340 million years ago, and the likely what are the causes for this mass extinctions in this Devonian period, that is asteroid impact. And next one is rapid global cooling. So because of this, what happened? Local destructions, and as well as debris ocean life, which mainly affected by the temperature. And if you're talking about this Permian death rate, so here it mainly happened about 250 million years ago, and the possible causes of this Permian extinction here is volcanic activity, there is increasing of methane and as well as carbon dioxide, so rapid global warming. So these are some important things which mainly led to the cause of this Permian extinction. So you can get a question like, so when was this Permian extinction which mainly happened, or Permian extinction which is mainly seen? You have to know the year, that is about 250 million years ago, and what might be the causes. The causes here is volcanic activity because of increasing of methane and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and as well as rapid global warming. So what were the results? So oxygen which mainly removed from the oceans, okay, that we can say like deoxygenation of the oceans, and that led to even desertification of the land. And next one is Triassic. So during this Triassic period which mainly happened 200 million years ago, so it is mainly because of increasing of methane and carbon dioxide and even rapid global warming. So what are the results? The results were desertification of land and as well as frequent heat waves. So frequent heat waves which is mainly seen, and even deserted action which is mainly seen, desertification. And this one is KT death rate. It is mainly happened since 6.5 or 65 million years ago. So here it is mainly because of asteroid impact, volcanic impact, and as well as decreasing or falling of the sea level rise. And the results were the widespread of fires, and plants they disrupted by the global ash cloud, and as well as nuclear winds. So these are the 5 different types of mass extinctions that we saw. So if we're talking about this Permian extinction, it is mainly caused because of global warming, and even 96% of the marine species and 70% of land species, they were extinct now. So because of this, we need to take some exceptions, and we need to take some steps to mainly conserve those species. And if we're talking about what are the causes, so most of the times we can see the causes will be a volcanic eruption, and even what happens, series of eruptions which mainly occur in central Siberia, and even massive amount of these greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Then as of now here, uncontrolled greenhouse gas emission that is mainly seen, and because of these greenhouse gas emissions, that mainly triggers this climate change. And if you're talking about significance, so here Earth which is mainly undergoing similar phase of warming now. So here the study which mainly says that there is increasing of this 2 to 10 degrees centigrade of warming, and because of this increasing of temperature, that mainly led species getting extinct, and even other species they may migrate from this tropics to polar region. As you know, here we have equator. So in this equator region between this Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, so this region which mainly comes in this tropic region. So in this tropic region, they will be get direct sun rays from this sun, so that this area will be hot compared to this polar areas or temperate regions. So because of this, whenever there is increasing of temperature, as you all know, all the waters which are present in the world, they are interconnected. So here because of this, what happened, the organisms which mainly live in this oceans, they will be start moving from tropical region towards this polar region. And next one is ocean importance. So oceans are the planets of large ecosystem, and they account for 95% of the all species which are mainly available in the life. And next one here is hosting 90% of the planet's total species. So human beings, okay, they are 90% of planet's total species. And if you're talking about next one, that is ocean accommodating more heat. So deep oceans, they are waning up because ocean's heat content is very high, and they are accumulated by the ocean. So the atmosphere has low heat capacity compared to that of ocean water, okay, which mainly can accommodate 1000 times the more heat. Okay, so here this article which mainly says, this report which mainly highlights that there is ocean accommodating more heat. So now let us try to see one's main question regarding this topic. So this is for practice for you people. According to research, sixth mass extinction in Earth history is underway and more severe than previously feared. Discuss the magnitude and causes and remedial measures of these oceans to halt the extinction. So this is a very simple question. Try to write the answer for this question. And there is one more question which appeared in this 2018, that is regarding sixth mass extinction. So please let me know the answer for this question in the comment box. And there is also one more question for you people, that is in the context of mitigating the impending global warming, due to the anthropogenic emissions of carbon dioxide. So which of the following can be the potential sites for this carbon sequestration? So please try to read the statements and try to give me the correct option in the comment box. Don't forget about this. And now let us try to see next topic. Title says flood situation remains grim in Assam, over 25 lakhs still hit. So this topic I collected from Indian Express. So actually this topic is important from disaster management. So in disaster management you have to know about post disaster cycle. So after once flood happens, so what are the steps that need to be taken? So you have to know about which district, especially some districts in Assam, they went for extreme efforts. So what are the steps that are mainly taken by Assam? You have to know as an UPSC aspirant. So if you see context, it mainly says that people of Assam, they are adapting climate proofing or flood resilient mechanisms to cope with floods better. As you know, every year during this monsoon season, especially here Assam, it is going to have floods. So there are a number of rivers that are mainly flowing in this Assam region, especially along this Brahmaputra basin. So there are high amount of floods, because if you see, this is a river, okay, this is the capacity of river. So whenever there is a silt which is mainly sediments or deposited here, that will decrease the carrying capacity. So because of this, the water will be spilled, okay, so that will also one of the important reason. And because of the heavy rainfall and cloud burst, that is also one important reason for the floods in this region. So if you're talking about what are the measures which are mainly taken by this Assam government, so first one here is they mainly focused on building of high platform shelters and houses. So what happened whenever there is a platform which mainly increased, means what happened, that will leads to decreasing of the impact of flood, because if the houses were mainly lying in these low lying areas, means water will be come into the houses, and whenever there is a flow of water is heavy, means it will be also taking away the important items from the home as well. So but here if we are increasing the platform of these shelters, yes, we can decrease somewhat the impact of these floods. So here we mainly came up with this increasing of shelter platform of the shelters and as well as houses. So almost all houses, they are raised above the ground. They want to protect from this frequent small flood. So whenever they want to come out of this frequent small flood, actually almost all houses in this Assam, they came up with this raised platform. And next one is relief training. So they have also formed a village disaster management committee. So they came up with this village disaster management committee, and this committee which mainly contains 13 people, and they mainly provide with the rescue and relief training. And these people, they will be also helping with this national and as well as state disaster response force. So this is one important step. And next one is shifting of cropping patterns. So actually these villagers, they mainly shift from their cropping patterns by cultivating more rabi crops than compared to that of these kharif crops. So in this kharif crops, especially we can go for the sowing during this monsoon season. So during this monsoon season, if there is heavy rain, means that will cause huge losses, okay, that will cause huge losses to the farmers. And they started cultivating some vegetables like potato, tomato, eggplant, okra, peas, etc. instead of this kharif paddy crop. And they also came up with this child friendly spaces. So they came up with these spaces, they built on elevated platform. So here in this child friendly spaces, so even though if there is any floods which happen, so children's studies should not be disturbed. Okay, so for that they came up with the raised level of this Anganwadi and local schools also. And this one is accessible drinking water. So during these floods here, people, they will be facing one important problem because of lack of proper drinking water. So they came up with another adaptation measure. They came up with the raised hand pumps, okay, and because if there is a pumps which are mainly flooded or which mainly filled by this water, that is a flood water, means what happened, people, they do not have proper access to this hand pumps. So whenever they are raising the level or raising this hand pumps, then they will be having opportunity to get water even in this flood situations, in this frequent flood situations as well. So these are some important steps that you have to know. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding psych, okay, psych machine. So that article I covered from this Times Now. So this topic is very important because you can get a question like, so psych mission is seen in news, so what it is related to. So in this way also you can get a question in your prelims. So NASA halts the psych mission due to delay in software and testing equipment. So if you see here NASA, that is NASA, which is a space station which mainly came with the psych mission, and actually it is a program. It is mainly focusing on asteroid because of late software discovery. So psych, it is nothing but asteroid which is mainly present between the Mars and Jupiter. So if we're talking about evidences, okay, evidences, direct and indirect evidences that you might have studied in your geography. Okay, when we want to study about the interior of Earth, we will be going to study some direct sources as well as indirect sources. Okay, so in the direct sources we will be taking some asteroids, some meteoroids which are present, and we will be studying them. So because there was one important theory which mainly talks about formation of our solar system, that is Big Bang theory. So earlier it was a ball and actually it exploded, and after exploded they mainly came up with their own orbits and they started moving around the sun. Right. So what happened here? So whenever there are any asteroids which are present in this Mars and Jupiter, especially between these inner planets and the Jovian planets, we will be having this asteroid belt, that is Mars and Jupiter. So between this Mars and Jupiter, we will be having this asteroid belt. So this Psyche is also one of the asteroid which is mainly present between this Mars and as well as Jupiter. So why it is important? Why we are going for the study of this Psyche? Because actually if you see this image, you can see some areas which are mainly exposed. So this exposed which mainly contains nickel and iron. So if we talk about different layers of Earth, we have crust, we have mantle, we have core. So crust contains SEMA, that is SEMA and Cl, silicon and alumina, and mantle contains SEMA, that is silicon and magnesium, and core contains this Nephi which is present in the innermost part. But here in this asteroid, here there is exposure of this nickel iron ore on early planet. Okay, so because of this, when we are studying, then it will be helpful for building blocks. We can build the blocks for our solar system. Okay, and now let's try to see next topic. This topic I collected from Hindu itself. So here the article says that crisis in salt hectare, which mainly hits 5 lakh people in Gujarat. Okay, it is about salt sector. So this article is important from our GS paper in the geography. So you have to know about where this salt it is produced, okay, in our country. So you need to know about what are the problems that are mainly faced by the salt sector, because the salt sector is also contributing for our economy at large, right? So here we need to know about important problems that are faced by the salt sector and even possible remedies, okay, for those challenges. So if you see details, it mainly says that, so farmers and workers who are engaged in the salt industry, they are mainly facing severe crisis because there is lack of minimum wages and as well as social security measures. So if we're talking about recent industrial codes, we study about the social security code. Okay, but here these people who are working in this salt industry, they do not have proper livelihood, they do not have proper minimum wage, and even there is no social security. So if we're talking about details, it mainly says that, so central control, okay, if you're talking about the central control, salt is under the union of 7th list. Okay, so here, as you all know, 7th schedule, okay, 7th schedule of Indian Constitution, which mainly talks about 3 lists, list 1, list 2 and list 3. So list 1 which mainly talks about union list. So in this union list, whatever the subjects are present, so you have central government which has a power to make the laws. And if you're talking about list 2 which mainly contains the state list, so in this state list, state legislature which have exclusive power to make laws on the subjects in this state, in this schedule, okay, according to this schedule 7, that is in this list 2. And next one here is list 3. In this list 3 which mainly contains concurrent subjects. So concurrent list, or we can say these are the subjects. If you want to make laws here, both central government and state government, they have power. But if there is any clashes between union and center, union and state, yes, union will going to prevail, right? And next one is, if you're talking about salt sector in India, so India, it is having the world's 3rd largest producer of this salt, and first one is US and second one is China. So after US and China, India, it is the third largest producer of this salt. And salt, it is mainly produced through a solar evaporation process of seawater. So seawater which is mainly drawn and they are mainly poured in the bunds and they will be evaporated, and finally we can see the salt crystals which is mainly formed. And after one salt crystal which is mainly formed, we can also go for processing and we can go for adding of iodine. So if you see the salt packet, you can see iodized salt. It is a processed salt. And if you are talking about nodal agency, so Salt Commissioners Organization, okay, that is mainly attached to this Ministry of Commerce and Industry, which is one of the nodal agency. And if you are talking about occupation health hazards related to the salt, so if at all any person who is working in this salt industry, so they will be also facing some health risk like chronic dermatitis, that is skin ulcers will be there, and sometimes we can see vision loss. And if you are talking about states which mainly accounts for this salt production, here is the first one is Gujarat. Gujarat accounts for almost 80% of this country's production, and here Gujarat which mainly followed by Tamil Nadu, followed by Rajasthan, AP, and as well as Maharashtra, Odisha. So these are some important states they are going for production of this salt. And now let us try to say next topic, it is regarding climate change. So this article is important from Environment and Ecology, which mainly comes under GS paper 3, and I collected this topic from your Hindu. So here climate change is driving 2020 to extreme heat and flooding. So because of climate change, we are seeing extreme heat is there, and on another side we can also see flooding. So here this article says that so extreme weather events that we are facing, that is heat waves, scorching heat waves, and usually we can see heavy downpours. Heavy downpours means I can say like cloud burst. Okay, so in this cloud burst what happened, we can see very heavy rainfall within a short span of time. So here extreme weather events which is also leading to heat waves and usually heavy downpours. So they mainly have caused widespread upheaval across the globe this year. And because of this, thousands of people they killed, and as well as millions of people they had been displaced. So because of this heat waves and as well as because of this extreme floods, so here number of people they started migrating to other areas, and here many people they had been killed and millions of people they had been displaced. So if we're talking about details, it mainly says that in last 3 months, so if you're talking about this monsoon rains, so monsoon rains they are disastrous, okay, especially they are causing flooding in Bangladesh, and it is causing heavy and brutal heat waves in some parts of South Asia and as well as Europe. Okay, so in South Asia and Europe we can see brutal heat waves, and if you see in Bangladesh there is heavy rains, and we are also seeing there is a floods. So because of this, recently a team of climate scientists they mainly published a study in journal, okay, the name of journal is Environmental Science Climate. So this research they mainly scrutinized the role of climate change which has played individual weather events over the past 2 decades. So here the scientists who mainly said that so from the last 2 years onwards there is a very high weather events that are mainly happening. So here if you see the findings of this report, which mainly says that global warming will change our world. Okay, whenever we are going about this global warming, and whenever we are talking about this global warming to decrease this carbon dioxide emissions and to decrease this greenhouse gas emissions, yes, we are mainly focusing on we need to bring some change, right? So findings confirm that the warnings of how this global warming that will going to change this change our world. Okay, and if you're talking about heat waves and extreme rainfall, yes, we can see there is extreme rainfall and extreme changes that are mainly happened because of this climate change and as well as global warming. So if you're talking about heat waves, it mainly says that they are highly probable that the region change is also making the things worse. So whenever the changes are happening in the climate, yes, that will leads to some disasters. And next one here is pretty much all heat wave across the world, they have been made more intensive and as well as more likely by the climate change. So here what happened? So here heat waves across the world, they had been more intense, that is very high, and even that is also leading cause for this climate change. So if we're talking about this heat waves, previously it had 1 in 10 chance of occurring, but now it increased to 3 by 10 chance. That is 3 times of increasing of chance of getting this heat waves. And in April, heat wave that mainly saw the mercury climb of about 50 degrees centigrade. So in April, especially in the Rajasthan and even in some areas of Pakistan, we can see there is a very high temperature which mainly recorded. And if you're talking about rainfall and flooding, so China, which mainly saw extensive flooding and as well as following heavy rains, at the same time here Bangladesh was hit with a flood triggering deluge. Okay, so here what happened, China also saw extensive flooding, okay, because of heavy rains, and even the same which mainly happened in Bangladesh as well. So they are mainly fighting against this flood. So overall episodes of this heavy rainfall, they are mainly becoming more common and as well as more intense. So daily, because of this heavy rainfall, that is mainly leading to this more common and as well as more frequent, more intense things. And if you're talking about droughts, yes, scientists they also said that. So there are some important drought-like events that is mainly happening because of this climate change. And even some areas they mainly suffered with ongoing dryness, that is from past 5 years or past 10 years, they are mainly suffering with this dryness. And especially if you're talking about East African droughts, so these are the countries are mainly facing, especially the many things like the cattle which is also dying because of these droughts. They are not getting enough water, and even they are not getting proper food as well, especially the cattle, they are not getting the proper food and proper fodder and as well as water facility, so that they are becoming malnourished, and finally that will lead to losing of this life of this cattle. So that is mainly seen in this East African droughts. And next one is wildfires. So heat waves and drought conditions, they are also worsening this wildfires. Okay, so because of there is no proper rainfall, there is no proper water moisture which is present in that area. So because of this, we can see that will leads to the wild forest fires. And even US came with a report that US Forest Service, which mainly said here fires burned about 3,41,000 acres of land which has been burnt under these fires. They are mega fires. So if we're talking about tropical cyclone, so on a global scale, the frequency of storms had not been increased. The frequency of the storm had not been increased. Cyclones are now more common in the Central Pacific and as well as Northern Atlantic region. So this is the thing which mainly said by the study. And also this study which says that there is also evidence that tropical storms are becoming more stress and as well as even stalling overload. Okay, so here this report which also says that here tropical storms are becoming more intense and as well as even stalling over land. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now let us try to see next topic. Title says Remembering the Plan Man of India. So this article which is mainly talking about this PC melanobis. So why we need to talk about this melanobis now? So if you see today, okay, that is June 29th, it is National Statistical Day. So now we have to remember the contributions or the role of this PC melanobis. So here this topic is very important from your economy point of view. So I think if you have studied your plans, that is 5-year plans, so in the second 5-year plan you will come across this PC melanobis plan. Okay, PC melanobis plan. So here now let us try to talk about the contributions of this personality to our Indian economy. So actually here June 29th we celebrate as a National Statistical Day on recognition of the contributions which are mainly made by this Prashant Chandra Mahalanobis. So here if you are talking about this PC Mahalanobis, he mainly established a strong statistical culture. So he is the man behind the statistical culture in India. And if you're talking about some facts regarding this personality, so as a member of Independent India's Planning Committee, so he mainly came up with the drafting of plan. So here that plan he mainly came up or focused, that is mainly focusing on fast economic growth in India. Okay, and actually after once we got independence, so we had number of challenges. So one of the important challenge here is poverty at that time. So mainly to overcome this poverty, to come out of this poverty, yes, we need development, we need to provide employment opportunities. So we need to focus on this manufacturing sector such that it will be giving employment for the large amount of the people, so that will be helpful to come out of this poverty. So this was idea of this P.C. Mahalanobis in this second 5-year plan. So as an Indian scientist and applied statistician, so his name, that is P.C. Mahalanobis, he mainly built groundwork on India's institutional economic planning. So as he was applied statistician, so he mainly focused on this India's institutional planning, economic planning. And he was the first person to apply this statistical methods, and he came up with anticipating, planning, analyzing, evaluating social and economic welfare operations as well. And here this model which mainly prioritized in the second 5-year plan, and he mainly prioritized India's fast industrialization. And he was also founder of Indian Statistical Institute in Kolkata. And if you're talking about role of this Mahalanobis in this second 5-year plan, so actually he also key figured the development of India's second 5-year plan, that is between 1956 to 1961, and this second 5-year plan which mainly laid the groundwork for the country's industrialization and development. So the many industries, the heavy industries, they mainly emphasized on this second 5-year plan. Okay, and it's mainly led by this P.C. Mahalanobis. So here actually it was the first plan which mainly emphasized on patients, and this second plan which mainly focusing on industrial development, and as well as we focused on the rapid structural transformation. And we are mainly focusing on protecting of indigenous industry, and the government which mainly levied hefty levies on imports, and the growth of public and private sector industries as well. So why? Because we need to focus on savings and investments. So what happened at that time? Savings and investments which had been increased in that time. So public sector with the savings and investment, they led to building of large portion of industries. For example, electricity, railways, steel, machines, and as well as communication. And that led to the push for industrialization, and it was one of the watershed moment in our Indian history. And if we are talking about contribution of this Mahalanobis to statistics, so here Mahalanobis, he was a pioneer researcher in statistics and as well as related fields. And he also came up with this planner, educator and visionary, and as one of the architects of India's post-independent nation. And if you're talking about his fundamental contribution to the statistics, he mainly made some significant research contribution, thinking, societal value in planning, and as well as economics. So he was also founder of the Indian Indian Econometric Society. Okay, so he was also founder of Indian Econometric Society, and he was also the first Indian elected member for this Econometric Society. And if you're talking about role which is mainly played by this Mahalanobis in this national sample surveys, so here Mahalanobis, he mainly organized India's statistical efforts, and he mainly came with establishment of this national sample survey. He mainly came up with establishment of this national sample survey, and even CSO, that is Central Statistical Organization, in year 1950. And in the second 5-year plan, okay, of our planning commission, which mainly promoted heavy industry growth in India. And here in this way, we call this plan of the second 5-year is as Mahalanobis model or Mahalanobis plan. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding G7 plan to counter Belt and Road Initiative. So this article is important from your international relations, which mainly comes under your GS paper 2. And actually here we need to focus on this PGII, that is Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. So if you see context, it mainly says that US President Joe Biden along with this G7 allies, they mainly came up with this PGII, that is Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. Okay, so here US President, he mainly came up with this ambitious PGII, that is Partnership for Global Infrastructure Investment, and they mainly focused on collective mobilization of $600 billion by 2027, and they want to focus on some infrastructure and as well as to make this middle income countries to be compatible. So here this PGII, which is mainly seen as G7's counter to this Chinese One Belt One Road initiative. Okay, that is Belt and Road initiative of China. So this BRI, which is mainly focusing on connectivity, which is also focusing on infrastructure and as well as trade projects in different continents, for example Asia, Europe, Africa, and even in Latin American regions. So if you see this image, you can see G7 launching global infrastructure and investment partnership, and they are mainly focusing on boosting of economy and as well as supply chains. So now let us try to see this PGII, that is Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. Actually, it is a $600 billion global infrastructure investment partnership, and it is mainly focusing on helping the developing countries. So this initiative was first unveiled in 2021 and it was called as Build Back Better initiative. So the initiative, which will help for developing countries, and especially they are mainly focusing on 4 core areas. That is healthcare sector, digital connectivity, gender equality and as well as equity, and next one is climate change and energy security. So these are the 4 important things they are mainly talked about. So the initiative has been viewed as a counter to China's Belt and Road initiative, and in which the cities they have termed a debt trap. So if you're talking about what will be the benefits of this, okay, PGII, especially for India. So here if you're talking about from Indian side, so this initiative that could benefit the developing countries, particularly that will helpful in the financing of decarbonization efforts, because it is mainly focusing on healthcare, digital connectivity, gender equality and as well as climate change and energy security. And even Indian entrepreneurs and company workers, they are mainly working to increase food security and as well as improving of rural economy. So because of this global infrastructure investment partnership, it is very important. And now let us try to see a small topic. Actually yesterday I was saying headlines, okay, during night, okay, before I go to sleep I have an habit of going through the headlines such that I will be keep updated with the news. So at that time what happened, I came up with one news, and it is a trending news in social media also, that is regarding this Udaipur incident. So Udaipur murder case. So in this case, what is the background here is, so there is one tailor. Actually you know that one BJP leader, I don't want to name that name. So one BJP leader, actually 2 BJP leaders, they mainly made some statements regarding Islam and as well as Muslim community. So actually it was also spread like a fire even in some West Asian countries, OECD countries. So many Islamic countries, they mainly not accept with the statement of this Nippon. Okay, so what happened? So now recently, so one tailor person who is mainly belong to Rajasthan, Udaipur, he shared some post which is supporting that statement of that BJP leader. So what happened, from that time onwards he is getting some threatening calls. So actually he went to police station and filed the case also. But yesterday what happened, 2 people, okay, 2 persons, they mainly approached that tailor shop, and I don't know what is the conversation happened between these 2 people. Actually that tailor person, he is taking measurements of that one of that person who came to that tailor shop, and when he is taking measurements, suddenly the attack had done by the 2 people. So these are the 2 persons, they mainly had attack on this tailor person, and finally they killed that person. And after killing also they recorded the video, and they recorded the video that, so this will be the case for the Prime Minister also, and they also threatened the Prime Minister that if you are doing anything against, or if you're giving any statements regarding this Islam, yes, the same thing that will be happening to the Modi. And they also gave some threats to this Modi as well. So that video was very much viral in the social media, and you can also watch that video. So what these people they said. And one more thing here is, I want to say, as UPSC aspirants, so please don't try to post sensitive information in the social media platforms, because as you know, religion it is one of the important sensitive issue actually. So as you all know, India, it is a multicultural society and we believe unity in diversity. So in India, there are a number of different religious peoples are living together, like Hindus, Christians, Muslims, Jains, Parsis, Buddhists, etc. So here, actually in our fundamental rights also, which is mainly present in the Part 3 of our Indian Constitution, so there is some fundamental right which is also talking about right to religious freedom. So each and every person who is living on this earth, they have their freedom, right? Especially in India, even our constitution which mainly talked about right to religious freedom. So here religion is one of the important sensitive topics, so please don't try to post anything in social media, because nowadays social media, if you are posting anything, it is becoming viral within hours of time. So because of this, be ensure that you are not going to circulate this type of information that is going to create some violence in the society. So because of this murder, so now in the Udaipur, so there is a law and order situation that mainly came into picture. So there was protest, riots which are mainly happening. So you can see the image that is seen on the screen. So because of this, again 144 section which mainly imposed in that area, mainly to control this law and order situation there. Okay, so this is some news, and I want to let you know that as a UPSC aspirant and future bureaucrats, you need to respect all religions equally. Okay, so please keep this thing in your mind. And now let us try to see yesterday's questions. The first question is regarding Bhakti movement in South India. So consider the following statements regarding Bhakti movement in South India from 7th to 10th century. So first statement here is South Indian Bhakti saints, they were critical of Buddhist and Jain monks. And poet saints, they resisted also authority of orthodox Brahmins. Which of the above statements are correct? So here these both statements are correct. So correct option is 3. And next one is Nayakas Iyengar systems of local administration, which is mainly seen under this Vijayanagara Empire. They were the backbone of Vijayanagara's power. Consider the following statements regarding this Nayaka and Iyengar. So Iyengars, they were village functionaries, and Nayakas, they were military chiefs. Actually these statements are interchanged. So correct option is neither 1 nor 2. So today's question, so the first one is Alauddin Khilji. Second question is Ikta. So please try to read the statements and give me the correct option for these two questions. So apart from these two questions, I also gave you two questions, okay, where we studied about mass extinction. So please give me answer for those questions also. So now let us try to see the Hindu newspaper PDF. So before that, I want to make a small announcement. We in Rathod says we came up with this mains answer writing practice course of July batch, and this July batch which is going to be started from this 3rd June, and this is 1 year course, and here the price of this course is 7,200 rupees. And some salient features why you have to choose this course here, because it is economic friendly, it is budget friendly, and we are covering entire syllabus from GS1 to GS4, GS1, 2, 3 and GS4, and daily targets, daily one question will be given with weekly targets, and there will be one-to-one mentorship and evaluation of your answer, and we also provide you model answer. So these are some benefits here. As you all know, mains is very important, and if you want to clear this UPSC, yes, you can see prelims, it is just like a qualifying. So how many marks you are getting, that will be not finally added to our score, and interview which will be not there in your hands. So here the one thing that you can focus to clear this UPSC is mains. So please be focused on your answer writing. So answer writing practice is very important to clear your mains, right? So one thing you have to do is you have to subscribe to this course such that you can improve your answer writing. And apart from that, in Rathod Science, we also launched a foundational course for UPSC CSC 2023-2024 and also 2024-2025. So the course validity of this UPSC foundation here is 2 years, and we are providing more than 600 hours of lectures, and we are focusing on conceptual clarity, and you can watch the demo videos, and after watching demo videos only you can go for payment of the course. So details that you can get in our website rathodsisacademy.com. There you have to register with your email ID, and later on you can watch the demo videos, and as well as you can go for the payment in the website itself. And now let us try to see today's Hindu newspaper PDF. So this is our today's Hindu, and date here is 29 June, and this is Delhi edition. So here the first topic is about G7 to cap Russia's income from oil sales. As you all know that especially European countries, you are going to get this natural gas supplies and as well as oil. oil from this Russia. So here energy security of this European countries, they depend on this Russia. Okay, so here this G7 countries, they mainly says that they want to affect this economy of this Russia because of some oil sales. Okay, so this is the thing which mainly said. And whenever the oil sales of this Russia which is mainly affected, means the economy of this Russia will be going to be affected. So whenever this Russia's economy which is going to affect, means that will mainly withdraw from this Ukraine. So this is the idea behind this move. And now let us try to see next topic, that is regarding PM hails UAE's help during the pandemic. Actually, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he expressed gratitude to the president of this UAE, because actually there were about 3.5 million Indians, they are present in this UAE, and during this pandemic time UAE which mainly took some steps especially for the care of these Indians also. So actually here our Prime Minister, he is in visit to this UAE, so he mainly expresses gratitude and try to leave the city page, there is nothing much important, and even the states pages as well. And you can directly move on to this editorial page, that is page number 8. So here in this editorial I discussed about this PC Mahalanobis, and there is one article regarding this restricted gun ownership. So it is about a US gun bill. So actually this is already discussed in our analysis, so please try to revise that topic once. And this op-ed page, you can, if you have time, you can revise these topics like bringing the shine back on government jobs and as well as problematic provision. And if you move forward to this text and context, I discussed about this topic regarding this BRI, and you can also see about how China which is interviewing in this Horn of Africa, and you have to know which are the countries part of this Horn of Africa. Let me know in the comment box. And if you move forward in this news page, here you can see to behead man for social media post. So actually here Nipur Sharma, she made some comments regarding this Islam. So one person who is styled in this Udaipur, he mainly shared the post, and those two persons, they were mainly caught by the police yesterday itself. Okay, so this is about that topic. And if you move forward here, 19 killed in Mumbai building collapse. So here you have to know about what are the causes of this collapse, and you have to know what is the post disaster measures that we have to take in. So this topic is important from your disaster management point of view. And if you move forward here, there is nothing much important in your business page or world page today. So these are some important articles that appear in our today's Hindu newspaper. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to Rathod's IAS Academy and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. Thank you so much.